might hear in the news sometimes, the school-to-prison pipeline. It's shorthand for how schools are funneling students, especially black students, into the criminal justice system. It started in the 90s when schools responded to fears about crime with zero-tolerance policies, which mandated suspensions and expulsions for certain violations. They also cracked down on little things like talking back or uniform violations. The hope was that it would keep bigger problems from bubbling up. But as a result, out-of-school suspensions have doubled since the 1970s, and they keep increasing even though juvenile crime rates have now been dropping for years. Around the same time, the number of police officers stationed full-time inside schools has increased by a third between 1997 and 2007. Ostensibly, they were there to prevent mass school shootings like the one at Columbine, but they end up being a way for schools to basically outsource discipline to the police. Schools with officers have 5 times as many arrests for disorderly conduct as schools without them. Sometimes the results are shocking. But the less visible effect is that schools are feeding the racial disparities in the criminal justice system. Consider the fact that schools are more likely to have an officer on their campus if the student population is more than 50% black. You might assume that that's because there's more crime at these schools, but although students at police schools are more likely to be arrested, they're not actually more likely to be charged in court for weapons, drugs, alcohol, or assault, at least according to one study. During the 2010-2011 school year, 1 in 6 public school students in the U.S. were black, but they accounted for 1 in 3 arrests at school.
Hey world, it's your girl, Sunnyside 55, and today I have a topic that I know everyone out there has either been involved in some type of way. And this topic today is how the schools are mirroring the prison systems. I won't take up too much of your time today. I'll just get right into it. And please stay tuned to the end because I do have a couple of clips that I think you guys may be interested in. Public schools today are not good at educating, but they are perfect training grounds for learning how to live in a big brother police state. Students are watched, tracked, recorded, and controlled just like prisoners. A Pennsylvania school district secretly recorded more than 66,000 images of students using webcams on their school-issued laptops. These students were using these devices at home. Can you believe that? In 2008, a class of third-grade students in Kentucky were required to remove their shoes and socks for a search conducted by a teacher after $5 went missing. Sounds just like a shakedown in a prison when they're looking for contraband. Several schools in San Antonio have been provided $2 million from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. This grant is to install surveillance cameras in cafeterias in an effort to reduce obesity. Now that is just unbelievable. Think about it, you guys. They also have cameras in the cafeterias or, chow hall in the prisons. Okay? A 6-year-old student in Florida was handcuffed and sent to a mental hospital after throwing a temper tantrum. Stratford High School, which is located in South Carolina, had armed cops accompanied by police dogs conducting a surprise raid with their guns drawn. Can you imagine sending your child to high school? There is a surprise raid and guns are drawn on your child? Oh my goodness, I couldn't even imagine. Oh, wow. In 1999, then New York Mayor Giuliani transferred school safety operations and administration to the NYPD. I'm sorry, I had to laugh at that one. We're going to transfer operations for a school to the police department. Now, think about that. How is that going to go? The introduction of zero tolerance policies to schools took off in 1994 with the Federal Gun-Free Schools Act. People, we have to wake up. We have to open our pineal gland, your third eye. We have to think about this. We have to stop believing what we are told. These institutions are mirroring each other because psychological programming is done in both institutions to teach obedience. There are several similarities, and I posted them up in the video, but I'll just go over them. Authoritarian structure, dress code, emphasis on silence and order, negative reinforcement, walk in lines, loss of individual autonomy. Okay, no freedoms, no input on decision making. I made this video quick. It was just something that was on my mind. I was thinking about. I want you guys to leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And don't forget to stick around for these two clips that I thought were very interesting on this topic. Shalom.
A law professor has looked into the issue of surveillance on school campuses throughout the country. And what he found was that the majority of schools that have minority populations are more likely to have harsh surveillance techniques included. So let me give you the details on that. From the moment we step through the doors, this is according to one student who testified back in 2012 about the surveillance that he experienced in Chicago. He says, from the moment we step through the doors in the morning, we were faced with metal detectors, x-ray machines, and uniformed security, where many young people feel unwelcome and under siege. So some of you might think, well, I mean, there have been school shootings and there's a lot of violence. Isn't this a good idea? Isn't this supposed to keep people safe? No, it turns out that in the schools where you can expect the most violence to take place, they're actually not using these surveillance techniques. So schools with a preponderance of students of color within the school building were more inclined to adopt strict surveillance practices: metal detectors, locked gates, security cameras, random sweeps, and school police. Nance, that's the law professor, Jason P. Nance is his name, gained authorization to access a restricted database from the U.S. Department of Education, the school survey on crime and safety conducted in 2009 to 2010 and 2013 to 2014 to examine school security methods pre and post the Newtown school massacre. Okay, he found a clear, consistent pattern even after controlling for a host of variables. Now, those variables include neighborhood crime,
even school disorder.
School disorder. So some of you might say, okay, well, maybe they want more surveillance in a school that has more, there's more neighborhood violence there, or there's more school disorder there. No, he controlled for those variables.
So, look, honestly, that's what I would have assumed. I would have said, well, wait. Come on now. Is there higher crime in that neighborhood? That's why they have the metal detectors, etc. And I would have thought, or maybe even if there's not higher crime, but maybe there's more violence within the school, right? And it turns out, no, that was not the most important factor. What was, Anna?
In schools where students of color accounted for more than half the student body, the probability of the school using a mix of metal detectors, school police, and security guards and random sweeps was 2 to 18 times greater than at schools where the non-white population was less than 20%. Now, African Americans tend to experience educational inequalities to the highest degree as well.